Hello, thank you so much for participating in the Hope Day of Giving 2016, which is a cooperation between the Australasian and New Zealand Churches of Christ and Hope Worldwide Australia. Again, it's great to be in the SPA region, the South Pacific and Australasia region, and to be joining together to help support programs in this part of the world. Last year was a great success. We raised about $20,000 on the day. Also what was encouraging was for groups to go out and also raise money through some of their own individual efforts. I know the Sydney Church grouped together a number of disciples on a walkathon, and they actually raised an additional $20,000. So that's the group there. And this year, again, I think the Sydney Church as well as Melbourne Church are looking to do something similar later on in the year. Again, what was encouraging was to see that project, so it was a water tank project up in the highlands of Papua New Guinea, actually come to fruition. And so there's some people who are tasting the clean running water over at the Bacolma Clinic in Gumani. Also, the funds allowed us to install 2 tanks at the Gumani Church of Christ, which again has access to the members of the church in Gumani as well as the wider community. What is also important to note is that because of the vision, the determination of disciples in the Sydney Church, we initially only had funds for 1 water tank, but because of the walkathon we're able to extend that to 3 water tanks, again multiplying the impact that we're able to have on the community up in the highlands. Our region is prone to natural disasters. In Australia maybe we don't feel that as much as in some of our neighbouring countries like Papua New Guinea and Fiji. Last year we supported the drought in Papua New Guinea, and I remember Felix was just over for a conference and sharing some of the needs and problems, and then just disciples really being moved knowing that their brothers and sisters were without food and water due to the drought and the failure of crops. And so the churches responded very quickly to help out in Papua New Guinea, and then also there was a great response in the highlands. Just to know, in terms of money collected, we raised I think over $15,000 for the drought relief in Papua New Guinea, and that benefited over 3,000 communities. So there was a distribution of a sack of rice to different individuals, and again the community were overwhelmed, and it was very timely, just at the right time when people were struggling, that they got this assistance. And there was a further second distribution earlier this year. What's encouraging now is that the drought has broken and that the rains have returned. Cyclone Winston also hit earlier this year. That's Category 5 cyclone, the largest, strongest one in recent history. Fortunately, the major cities of Nadi and Suva missed the worst of it, but unfortunately a lot of communities in the rural areas outside, they were struck very hard. And what happened was, for our churches, as family members went back to their communities, they realised it was just devastation. And what our support was able to do was then actually allow disciples to go back to their families and wider communities and actually help them. This is Coro, a rural area, one of the outlying islands, and that was very badly affected. And one of the sisters took these photos, and she just described how her family were incredibly moved as she was able to bring some support thanks to the churches across Australasia and New Zealand. So again, it was a cry for help, and just to see the hearts of people moved to really respond. We were given a request earlier this year as part of the Hope Day of Giving to support literacy. And again, literacy is a problem in places like Papua New Guinea, where due to poverty and lack of access, many children are not able to learn how to properly read and write. And so this gives an opportunity for children to actually catch up with their schooling, to enter mainstream schooling. And so with the funds raised, actually the bulk of money raised today will go to support this program. We did have this program was successful a few years ago, and we had to close the program due to lack of funding, and so this is really to resurrect this program. And again, we're hoping to have about 80 children benefit from this program. Also with that, on a Saturday we're looking to do an adult literacy class which will hopefully benefit 20 adults who can't read and write, to help them to develop these important skills. So that's just a picture of the initial school that we had, and again we're looking to see this come to fruition next year. I'm excited about Hope Reps that coordinate local programs, and to see programs starting in places like the Gold Coast, in Sydney, Melbourne. Here in Melbourne we're working with seniors and having an afternoon tea where we're doing activities like Zumba. It's also encouraging to hear of places like in New Zealand where they're working with Ronald McDonald House to look after the families of sick children and who may be going through cancer treatment. And so it's an opportunity for disciples to come together, and this is they had a superheroes theme last year where the whole church was involved, and gives an opportunity just to serve, to entertain. I think it was over 100 children with their family, and you know, the disciples were entertaining as well as serving food. Again, I think one event is planned for later in this year. As I mentioned earlier, we are prone to disasters, natural disasters in this region, and we have a global disaster response. And Charles Ham over in Indonesia, he heads up this, and he will go often to different countries and actually advise government, the UN, on how to best respond to natural disasters. And so we have a lot of expertise, and I think it's encouraging to know that we can be ready for future disasters. And I guess in terms of the response financially, we are very responsive as churches, but even to make us quicker with this, what we'd like to do is allocate some funds in the ready. So if there's a disaster on Monday, in whether it's nearer to home or overseas, that we can respond quickly by having a fund that's available and that can be mobilized as well. I'm excited about the Hope Youth Corps. Last year, this is the back of one of the t-shirts from 2015, and we're in nearly 20 programs across different continents. This year we have even more. I'm also excited that we're having Hope Youth Corps in our own region. Last year we went to Fiji for the first time, and this year we're going to Papua New Guinea. And we were there a couple of years ago. This is a picture of the Youth Corps of Fiji. It was encouraging to have disciples from all across the world serve and fix up a school that was actually threatened to be closed because of just the poor hygiene of the kitchens. That was re-cleaned and repainted, and then to live out with a community in a village. And now fortunately this village actually survived the cyclone, and the work that was done is still standing. So it's a holiday program for the school kids, and also there was a renovation of setting up of a new library, and a computer was donated as well. So it was encouraging just to see disciples serve and get involved, and I know the community was really impacted, very moved by the hearts of the disciples. In the Philippines there was a youth corps as well, and it was exciting to see a number of people from Australia go over there and actually lead the youth corps as well, and people like Aaron and Esther. And yeah, they built a house. So again, that was impacting families who were previously homeless. The Hope Youth Corps to Papua New Guinea this year is from the 16th to 31st of July, so it's not too late if you would like to sign up, and that will be an opportunity to go. And as I mentioned, we went a couple of years ago, and still people in Papua New Guinea remember the volunteers from Australia, from New Zealand who went to serve. HIV and tuberculosis are major health issues in Papua New Guinea, and volunteers will be able to engage in some of the programs, outreach in terms of HIV and education. And also a smaller group will be going up to the highlands, again a rugged terrain, to get involved in outreach to the communities there. So it's exciting that we can serve the poor. I think it's exciting that we can preach the gospel, but we can also show compassion and be a light to those around us. And ultimately it meets their physical and also their spiritual needs as they see us being like Jesus. Thanks again for participating in this day.